Having trouble deciding on a grammar program for your upper elementary student? Today we're going to compare two to see if it helps you make a decision. We're going to compare Growing with Grammar by JackKris to Analytical Grammar I from Demme Learning. Stay tuned to learn more. Hi, I'm Kimberly and welcome back to my channel. It's Only Homeschooling. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm a licensed professional counselor turned homeschool mom of one. I do feel it is important to point out that I was not paid in any way to sponsor either one of these products. I purchased these with my own money to give you an honest review. Picking curriculum is probably one of the most challenging things I have personally faced as a homeschool mom. Granted, this is our second year as hybrid homeschoolers, so some of that stress has been lifted off of us a bit because the university model school that our son attends, they choose all of the curriculum for us. However, in our earlier years of homeschool, all of that fell to me. So I was very appreciative to find videos where I could see flip-throughs or get feedback from other people who have used the curriculum to see how it works. But always remember, you're not committed to any curriculum. That is the beauty of being a homeschooler. We can change anytime we want to. So I'm going to start with Growing with Grammar Level 4 by JackKris. This is actually a curriculum I'm familiar with. This is what the University Model School used last year when our son was in 4th grade. Okay, so for starters, let's take a look at Growing with Grammar. You start with going to the JackKrisPublishing.com website, and then you come over here and you click on Grammar. So you can see as you're choosing, I was referring to picking for an upper elementary student. Last year, our son was in 4th grade. This upcoming year, he is going to be in 5th grade. But as we are homeschoolers, you know, grades are just pretty much relative. You can see that the website does kind of let you know how often this program is taught, what levels this course is going to be taught through. The level pretty much equates to grade level, and there's 36 weeks per year. So for levels 1 and 2, the exercise portions, basically the exercises that the students will be completing are combined into one book for each level. But starting with levels 3 through 8, there is a separate student manual. Our son was 4th grade last year, so this is what we used. Now, considering I'm sort of comparing 4th grade with 5th grade, one thing to consider is that the Growing with Grammar for 4th grade and the Analytical Level 1 are sort of along the same lines in terms of strength, in terms of age level. That's probably a better way to say it. But if your child is struggling with grammar, I would definitely recommend starting with the Growing with Grammar over the Analytical Grammar 1. So let's take a look at what comes in with Level 4. This is what we used last year. Now, what I purchased was simply the student manual. As our son attended a university model school, the school bought like a group work text for the sample workbook, basically, and they sent it to us in a PDF format. And they also sent us an answer key. If you're not strong with grammar and you would like to have an answer key, there is one provided for you. But I'm going to take a second and show you here just on their website what the scope and sequence is, so you'll know what your student is going to be learning and in what order they're going to be learning it. So here is where we did Level 4 for last year. So you can kind of see, and all of this is on the JackKris website. Okay, so that is scope and sequence. And here's some of the table of contents, just so you can see what you're going to be learning. Growing with sentences, nouns, all the parts of speech. And the chapters are further broken down into sections. And for us, it was very easy. It felt like a natural flow and a natural rhythm. The exercises are very, very brief. And especially with handwriting, our son has dysgraphia, So keeping the exercises, like here's a sample lesson from the student manual, keeping them very brief. This is the exercises that you would have for a review. This is pretty much what it looks like if you're flipping through the book. The lesson that you would go through. Okay, so that was for personal pronouns. Here's an example. Now let's look at the lesson that would go with personal pronouns. Okay, so here is the lesson, 3-4 for personal pronouns. Takes you through, explains the lesson. You go through it with your student, and oftentimes if your child is strong in grammar like my son is, he would just read it on his own unless he had questions and I was there next to him to answer those questions. So there's the lesson, and then here is the exercise that goes with it. Now I will say, when it comes to where we had to do our work at home, if there was a lot of writing, I might modify this a little bit to accommodate for his dysgraphia, where here's the instructions on the line after each sentence. Write the antecedent for the personal pronoun in bold. That's okay. So Cody had his backpack was the antecedent. Cody. That's not that much writing, but to accommodate, I could just have him tell me orally. That's one way to do it. Now, he would have to do his writing when he's on campus, but if the point is for him to understand the information and to make sure that he has a clear understanding of what a personal pronoun is and what an antecedent is, and I don't need for him to write that down to know it. So then also answer key. And then as far as answer keys go, this was the PDF that was sent to us from the school, from my son attends school. So we'll go down to 3.4, and here's the answers. Just very quick and very simple. I can check these for him, or he can check the answers himself. It's a very simple, easy to use. It's very quick, which is one thing that we actually liked about the Growing with Grammar program. It was just quick and easy. There are also tests that they include, if you want to take a look and see what the tests look like for sample tests. And answer keys are also included. Quite a bit of writing when it comes to the diagramming, but I just don't think there's any way around it. So that is Growing with Grammar. Okay, so one of the things I did not like about this program is, it's not really even about the program, it's just about the binding. Although normally this spiral bound is very easy to use for flip through and storage, the one thing that you noticed during the flip through is it starts to kind of come undone right here at the end as well. So you have to kind of rethread it every single time, which can be kind of time consuming or annoying. It's not anything major, but I just wish it had a better binding. And one thing about Growing with Grammar, there is not a separate teacher's manual. There is a teacher's answer key for the exercises and for the tests, but you simply, pretty much it's self-explanatory when you go through the lessons. So you go through the lessons with your student, or if your student is strong in grammar, they can go through the lessons on their own. So there is not a separate teacher's manual to purchase. So since we have actually used Growing with Grammar, I can tell you some of the things that I do like about it. Although it's kind of a double-edged sword with the spiral bound, it does make it easy for using the book because it lays flat open when you are going through the lesson and we're flipping back or using something to hold the book down, if you will. So it does lay flat open when you're doing the lesson. That does help quite a bit. It is very quick. We can do grammar with the exception of the fact that handwriting takes a little bit longer. If we are diagramming sentences and I am not scribing for him, that does take longer. That is because the handwriting takes longer, not the actual lesson takes longer. I would say the lesson takes us anywhere from 10 minutes, maybe 15 max, if we are taking a little bit longer with our handwriting. But it's very straightforward, it's very simple. Can be a little dull, but I think it's a very quick and simple and easy to understand for both teacher and student. So some of the things that I guess it could be a pro or a con with growing with grammar. I've noticed from looking at the JackKris website and looking through the other levels, there seems to be quite a bit of repetition. You can call it review, built-in review, but if you have a student that is stronger in grammar, then they're probably going to be bored. So, or you could skip over those lessons if you prefer. I know oftentimes my son has been strong in grammar for quite a while, and so oftentimes if he had, for the assignments that we had to do at home from the University Model School, if he was doing really strong in that particular section we were working on, we just didn't do the assignment. I would have him read through it as part of the review from the workbook, but then I would not have him do the work text. So if your child is stronger in grammar, you might be able to move up a level. Okay, so now on to the grammar program that our son is going to be using for 5th grade. It is Analytical Grammar I by Demme Learning. Okay, so one thing about analytical grammar, after it was acquired by Demme Learning in 2020 and 2023, just this year, it received a complete fresh look, updated content, and enhanced tools to support learning. So this is going to be, I guess, the flagship or pilot program for the new level of analytical grammar. I'm going to take us up here to the top for levels and go over the levels just a little bit. We are starting with Analytical Grammar 1, but here it lets you know how analytical grammar is set up. They want you to build on your skills sequentially. There's 5 levels, and it allows them to spend a portion of their school year focused in on grammar that apply knowledge to the broader language arts work. Okay, so we are starting with Grammar Basics Level 1. Foundational skills. Looks like we're going to be covering parts of speech and sentences, sentence patterns, and classic sentence diagramming. So it sounds like it's just going to be more of what we are already doing, or what we've already done. Let's take a look. Let's see. This is what the table of contents is going to be covering, and I am going to do a flip through in just a moment. Okay, we'll come back and take a look at the basic sample lesson in just a minute. But here is what a typical week looks like. I know with Growing with Grammar, we would do on average maybe a lesson a day, sometimes 2 if we needed to. If we were behind from doing other activities, it was pretty easy to catch up on one in more than one in a day if necessary, since they only take about 10 minutes. But what does a week look like with analytical grammar? It says you'll find pacing for your student as you progress through the program. They should at least review the lesson notes page and complete exercise A, the playing with words activity, and the assessment before moving on to the next lesson. Okay, so it looks like 3 different exercises. Okay, so day 1, instructor and student, we're going to read the lesson notes and practice 1 or 2 sentences of exercise A. That's what we do together, instructor and student. Then the student is going to complete exercise A independently with notes and instructor support as needed. We are moving into more of that independent stage of learning, which I fully support. Not quite away from elbow stage completely, but not totally at the elbow stage the entire time. So then day 2, instructor and student will review exercise day together, discussing any mistakes. Okay, and then the student's going to do, so we're going to review what we did from day 1, and then we're going to complete exercise B. Okay, moving on to day 3, we'll review B, see if there's any mistakes, and then move on to C, giving support as needed to make sure, obviously, that your student has an understanding of concepts and any clarification. So day 4, we're going to review C and note if there's any mistakes. And then day 4, the student is going to complete independently the playing with words activity. Day 5, instructor and student are going to review the playing with words activity, noting and discussing any mistakes, and then the student will do an assessment. Okay, so I'm wondering how many assessments are going to be involved with this. I guess we'll know as the year progresses. But here's an important note, instructor and student. Before introducing the next lesson, correct and discuss the assessment at the beginning of the following week. Okay, so we complete the assessment on day 5, but it looks like when you start over on the next week on day 1, you're still going to need to review any mistakes that were made during the assessment so that you can properly move on to the next lesson. Okay, so that's our pretty much pacing guide for how we're going to go through. Now let's take a look at a sample lesson. Again, this is completely new to me. We have never used this program before, and this is going to give us the instructor's handbook. Now, unlike Growing with Grammar, the Analytical Grammar does have a separate teacher's manual. I did not purchase the separate teacher's manual. I'm pretty strong in grammar, so I'm pretty confident that I can understand it going through with my son, so I didn't find it necessary to purchase it, and the school did not require it. If need be, I can go back and purchase it. But, okay, so here's an example of what the inside of the instructor's manual looks like. They're using lesson 2 on articles and adjectives. We have instructor notes. Says this lesson will show you and your student how much, okay. So you're basically doing a little bit of an assessment of what they've already learned for their previous learning for articles and adjectives. I like how they tell you about potential issues that could arise. And then here's the actual lesson. Looks like they give you a little bit of a script here for telling you what to say to your student. And then bold print where there's a definition of what we're introducing. So it does give you a little bit of a script. If you're not strong in grammar or if you just prefer to have a script, I know I do in math. I always want a script when it comes to math. And I like that they do include, kind of like we use in our BJU, a script for or potential pitfalls that can run across or questions that students might ask. Okay, and this is going to give you, looks like this is examples that you go over so that you can label if you want to write this on your whiteboard. I'm sure they'll be writing this on the board at school. We'll probably be writing this on the whiteboard in our classroom. Okay, and again, more of the script for lesson 2. And then this is exercise A, what it looks like for the lesson 2 we just went over. And of course, the answers are labeled right there in the teacher's manual. So then you would do the lesson, and then you would do exercise A, and then the following day you would review the answers over exercise A before moving on to exercise B with your student. Do the first one with them, then have them do it independently. And then again, next day, before moving on to exercise C, review exercise B, and so forth. And then here's an example of what an assessment looks like. And of course, this is from the teacher's manual, so it looks like the answer key, if you will, is built in with the teacher's manual. Well, that's one less thing to keep up with. Clear instructions for the assessment. And then it's also teaching you how to score it over here. So for number 1, there's a possibility of 12 points. And you get to count and see how many they got out of the 12. Number 2, possibility of 8. Okay. And a total possibility of 48 for the first page of the assessment. And then for fill in the blank. Okay, total possibility of 6 on the second page. And then it tells you your total and you get a percentage. Okay, that's really straightforward. And so here's an example of also the student work text. Same lesson, lesson 2. I laugh every time I see that example of John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Okay. So it's just, the work text is just the same as the teacher's text, but without the answers. I'm just going to kind of scroll through as a little bit of a flip through here for you. So a little bit more involved, but a little bit more of a script. Not as straightforward and I would say, as simple as the growing with grammar. Of course, that's just what we're used to, and this is new, and anytime we're starting something new, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. So it could just be my learning curve, getting used to something new. Okay, but that is Analytical Grammar I examples. And here's a bit more description about the materials. What are each of the lesson parts? The lesson notes provide instruction and examples for each topic. And then there are the exercises A, B, and C, which gives the students plenty of practice in applying their new knowledge. Playing with words and application enrichment activities provide weekly instruction and practice with functional writing skills. Here's something that I didn't note that is interesting. Assessments are always open book and provide an accurate measure of proficiency. I like open book assessments when it comes to something like this, especially with grammar. You're going to build on it. You're going to have it each year. In addition, some important things to remember. I've already gone through the pacing guide, but some important things to remember is that this program is designed to be student-paced. Now, we do attend a university model school, so we do have to go at their pace, but if you are doing this at home on your own and a lesson feels overwhelming, just cut it into smaller chunks. That is the beautiful of being a homeschool family. We can set the pace for our students and accommodate and modify as we need to. Just as I was saying, for leveling down and with any other subject, you want your child to feel confident. You don't want to overwhelm them and push them too quickly. It's not about just ticking the boxes at the end of the day. It's about building a love of lifelong learning. If they feel confident considering, allow them to skip additional exercises. We do this all the time. I feel it's just one of our tricks of working smarter, not harder. Okay, so just in looking at this, you could see through the flip through, it was kind of hard to have it lay flat as I was working with it, but the pages are perforated. I could tell as I was doing the flip through. So what we will do, which is something I'm sure the school will do as well, is we will take it out of this binding and put it in a notebook, because otherwise flipping through it and trying to stay on that same page while we're focusing on a lesson is going to be a bit more challenging for the book to stay open and lay flat. But then also you can just take your assignments one page at a time. So we're going to remove it from this binding and put it in a notebook. This will be our first year using analytical grammar, so you will have to check back in with us at the end of the year to see how it went, to see if we truly like it better than growing with grammar, or if we prefer growing with grammar, some pros and cons. So check back in with us at the end of the year to see how it went. If you have used either one of these curriculums, please let me know in the box below and tell me which one you preferred or how it went. I am curious to find out how many more people are using this, since this is the first year for the new revision. And if you like this video, please consider clicking the like button so it lets YouTube know that you want to see more content like this. And please consider subscribing to my channel, where you can learn about more curriculum reviews, more product reviews, and other ways that you can help homeschool your child with learning differences. And are you trying to pick out a math curriculum for your homeschool student, your third grader perhaps? Are you looking at two of Saxon's different programs? Check out this video that I've got coming up, where we take a look at the difference between Saxon Math 3 and Saxon Intermediate Math 3. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and remember, education is a journey, not a destination. For when the days get hard, just remember, there is a huge community for you to support you right here on YouTube. Relax, it's only homeschooling.